Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Consciousness Express. I'm Sam Berry, your host with the most, and welcome to today's episode. I hope you're all enjoying your life, and if you're not enjoying your life, then what question can you ask to invite more happiness and joy into your life? A question like, what is my happy today? What does make me happy today? If I was choosing for my joy, what would I choose? Simple questions like that, guys, you'd be amazed at what can show up. Because happiness is a choice, and it's a choice every day. A choice that you need to choose every day because your happiness is not a conclusion, it's a constant creation, and it will always change. So don't conclude things that they're going to make you happy forever because then you'll be trying to milk the happiness out of those things and wondering why you're not that happy. Continue to be in question with your life, and so you can see if things are not making you happy anymore, you can start to choose different. Anyways, that was a little tangent. Today's episode, I want to, well, it's going to be a mixture because I've had some feedback, and some of the feedback is that you like hearing stories. So there will be a story, guys, today. A tragic story, a tragic McDonald's story. So stay tuned for that one because it's drama. And I can't wait to share it with you guys. And I hope you do enjoy it. Because I'm listening to the feedback. I listen to you guys. If you have questions, if you have feedback, let me know. I'll ponder it. But the first part of the podcast is going to be on communication in relationships. So just giving some different tips to have greater communication in your relationship. Just a few, just some different perspectives and information to help you navigate your relationship, communicating in relationship, how you be in relationship, so that you can communicate more effectively, you can have greater communion with your partner through the communication, and things can be sorted a lot easier, potentially, if you choose. And yeah, just to give you some of my pointers on relationship and communication, some of them to help you. So, some of the key factors with communication, one of them is being vulnerability. You have to have vulnerability. If you're not going to be vulnerable or your partner's not going to be vulnerable, then the communication is going to suck. And most likely the relationship is going to suck. Vulnerability is a key factor, a key ingredient for an amazing relationship, for amazing communication. It's got to be the vulnerability. So, what is vulnerability? Vulnerability is never putting a wall and barrier up, ever. It's being the open wound to the world. It's so that you can receive everything in totality. But when you put a wall and barrier up, you can no longer receive and you can no longer be vulnerable. So then you can no longer be the gift of you in, for this example, relationship, because you're not allowing yourself to be seen. You're not allowing yourself to show the parts of you that will contribute to the relationship, that will create something greater. You're hiding behind your walls and barriers. And the thing with walls and barriers is that they don't just keep out the thing you're trying to stay safe from. They keep out everything. There's not differentiating between, okay, I've got these walls and barriers up to protect me from this, but I'll let in the joy and happiness. The walls and barriers are blocking everything. And the more walls and barriers you have up, the more you're blocked out from receiving life, receiving your partner, and receiving yourself. And so what happens is you have potentially a past hurt, a past wound, something that happened in your past, and you didn't like it, it hurt you, you got heartbroken, it was traumatic, whatever happened, and for that, you, in that moment, decided to put a wall and barrier up to protect yourself. Because the thing with walls and barriers is you think they're protecting you, but what they're simultaneously doing is making you weaker and keeping in place the thing that you have decided that you need protecting from. So they're keeping in place the wound because you have the walls and barriers up. So you can't actually be vulnerable to open up as love through the wound to heal the wound because you've got walls and barriers up. And so they're keeping out everything. And so what vulnerability is putting down all the walls and barriers. No matter how much hurt there's been, it's putting them down and opening as love. It's being able to receive. Because the thing that happens is in the moment when someone chooses something, or does something, or says something, it's the moment that you put a wall and barrier up in that split moment that creates the hurt. Because if you allowed yourself to just receive it, and yes, in these examples that I'm using that create the hurt, that create the pain, that create the wounds, it's going to be intense. It's going to hurt. It's going to be intense. It's going to be full on. But what happens is when you don't put a wall and barrier up, you are able to receive all of that energy, and it can go. It can wash through. You can go over you. You can receive the awarenesses from it. You can receive the information from it. You can express what you need to express. You can feel what you need to feel. But then there's the residue afterwards is not there. In a sense of when you put the wall and barrier up, you then keep it in place. You create it to be solid now. The energy is solid because of the wall and barrier. So now it is a wound. Now it is hurt. Now it is pain. Now it is whatever because you put the wall and barrier up to protect yourself. But it's not really protecting you. So we have to get this. The walls and barriers do not actually protect you. You are putting yourself at a weaker position having walls and barriers up because you can no longer receive everything. And when you no longer can receive everything, well, then you're at a disadvantage because you will be blind to things happening because you can't receive it because you got walls and barriers up blocking your receiving. So, a part of relationship, a part of building a phenomenal relationship is to be vulnerable all the time, 24/7. And the thing that people think is that vulnerability is weak, or if I'm vulnerable, then they could hurt me. No, it allows you to receive. The walls and barriers create the hurt. The walls and barriers keep in place the pain and suffering. And so it's not a vulnerability isn't a pick and choose sort of thing. It's not like, okay, I'm vulnerable around my partner, I'm vulnerable around my mom, but everyone else I'm not vulnerable around. It's you are the open wound to the world, and that doesn't mean you share the most intimate details about your life to every person you come across. Doesn't mean what vulnerability is. It's just you're able to receive every person. You're able to receive everything because you're not blocking your receiving by putting a wall and barrier up. And a wall and barrier could be from a hurt. It could be a wall and barrier of judgment. It can be a wall and barrier of I don't like this thing. I like this thing, and you put the walls and whatever the wall and barrier is. What we need to do in communication and relationship is to work on lowering the walls and barriers so that we can be vulnerable to receive our partner, to receive ourselves, and to express what is required to express. So that we can, in communication, if we don't have a wall and barrier, we can receive our partner. But if we have a wall and barrier up, then you're not going to receive them because you're going to only receive what aligns and agrees with the wall and barrier. Everything else, no. So they're trying to communicate to you, but you got walls and barriers up, so you're not really listening, you're not really receiving, and then you wonder why the communication's shit, you wonder why the relationship's having issues, and you think that you're listening to them, but you have your walls and barriers up, so you're not really. So, first thing is vulnerability, guys. Big, big, big one. And the more you practice it, the more easier it becomes, and the more willing you are to choose it, because you actually get to reap the benefits from it. Because when you choose to be vulnerable, you get to access more of you get to access more of them, and the relationship can become so much more beautiful because the vulnerability is there. And there's always gold on the other side of vulnerability. There's gonna be moments when vulnerability feels really easy. There's gonna be moments when vulnerability feels like the worst thing in the world. It's so hard, it's so painful, it's so raw. Especially in relationship, there's going to be plenty of times when there's going to be difficult, tough conversations to have. You got to bring something up about your past. You got to bring something up that you don't like that they've done. You got to bring something up about a worry, about a future, or an insecurity, whatever it is. And you're like, your whole body's just like, oh my God, this is so hard. But it's so freeing at the same time to allow yourself to be that vulnerability that you truly be. And there's always more of you on the other side of it. There's always gold on the other side of it. And that gold is you. More of you. More of the relationship. More of them. More of the possibilities. More of life. It's on the other side. So we have to be willing. Have the raw conversations with your partner. If it ends up in a breakup, then that's amazing. It's for you allowed yourself to be vulnerable, and that's the result, then that's working in your favor. But when we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable, I'm not saying it's going to end in a breakup, but you know what I mean? If we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable in the relationship, we have to hide ourselves. We have to cut parts of ourselves off. We have to not allow ourselves to be who we would like to be. We can't then create the relationship we would like to create, because there's all these areas that we can't be vulnerable in. There's all these areas that we're hiding behind walls and barriers. And so the intimacy can't deepen because there's the walls and barriers. So, vulnerability, first one, guys, in communication. Another one is not needing to be right. How many times in your relationship, when you're communicating, is it coming from, I need to be right for what I'm sharing? And if they don't agree with me, they're wrong. How often is that your dynamic in relationship when you ever communicate something? Or they communicate something. There's one person needs to be right. If not, both of you need to be right. And then it becomes the fight and the argument, because you've got a point of view, they've got a point of view, and you're both trying to be right for each other's points of views. And because you're trying to be right for your point of view, that means they're wrong for their point of view. So you're making them wrong to be right for your point of view. And then it's just a battle. And it's like, how much fun is that creating a relationship? How much intimacy is that creating a relationship? How much nurturance is that creating a relationship? So we have to give up needing to be right. If we want to have smooth communication, if we want to have great communication, if we want to have a beautiful intimacy with a partner, give up the need to be right. Another one is holding space for your partner to share. Don't dump on your partner. Don't emotionally dump on them. That is unfair. If there's something on your mind, if there's something you need to share, and you can't keep it in, let them know you need to share something. Say, and the way you can do this is like, because one thing to get, guys, is if something comes up, a trigger or a wound, or if there's something bothering you, something upsets you, something needs to be said, try keep this as a rule of thumb of like, express it within 24 hours so the nervous system can release it. Otherwise the nervous system's gonna get more stuck in the body if you don't. So that being said, say, hey, do you have time in 10 minutes? Hey, do you have time in an hour? Hey, when you get home from work, can we find the space? I need to share something. Create the space. Let them know that something is gonna be shared, because what happens is the sharing of feelings, the sharing of uh, that is feminine energy, and holding the space is the masculine energy. And so if you can tell your partner, hey, I need to share something with you. Can we talk later, or can we talk in 20 minutes? Then they can hold the space for you. They can go, okay, cool. They'll go into the masculine energy and be the container for you to share. They can hold the space for you. But if you just dump on them and they're not ready for it, then that's not fair. So yeah, keep that in mind. Don't just emotionally dump on your partner just because of your partner. Let them know you want to share something. Give them the chance to actually hold space for you. Otherwise, if you're just dumping on them and you're expecting them to hold space for you, don't be surprised if they can't hold space for you in that moment. It becomes a fight, or they can't receive it, and then you get angry because they can't receive it. So yeah, holding the space. If your partner has something to share, then you hold the space with them, and you just listen and receive without needing to interrupt them, without needing to fix them. You listen to them, and you can, if you want to, repeat back. Okay, so what I'm hearing is this, this, and this. Is that true? Yep, cool. And then obviously also taking ownership of, like, if your partner's communicating with you their frustrations, then taking ownership too, if it is actually something. Be willing to take ownership of your actions. So there's some of the key factors, guys. Don't let it build up. Don't be like, oh, so many people let their frustrations build up and then to the point where it just tips over and they fucking explode everywhere. Express it. Create a container, create a space in your relationship where it's okay to express whatever's on your mind. You guys are a team, remember that. And then if you get triggered and you project the trigger onto your partner, take ownership of that. Hey, sorry, earlier I got triggered and I projected onto you. It wasn't fair. I'm sorry for doing that. And then work on yourself being able to not be at the effect of your triggers. It takes work. So it's like you can feel the trigger, you can be witness to the trigger, and then rather than just vomit the trigger onto them, project it onto them, you could say, hey, I'm triggered right now. That helps when you're really triggered. It's like, hey, I'm triggered right now. I need space. I just need to share that. Because just identifying that you're triggered in a moment can help a lot, rather than just rah, 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 but it actually has nothing to do with them. It's just that you've got a trigger from a past wound, and what they're doing is bringing that up, but then you're projecting it onto them, projecting it onto them. If you do that, and you find yourself do that, take ownership of it, apologize, and then just do the self work to actually become more conscious of your triggers, so that you don't project them, so that you can talk about them in a healthy manner, and they can hold space for you, and blah 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 blah. Yeah, and because communication, it's important in a relationship. There is plenty of different ways you can communicate, verbally, non-verbal, energetically. um you want to be able to energetically communicate, like with the molecules of each other. um engage with the molecules, so that it goes beyond words. You can just know things. Um, And yeah, I did want to talk about a bit about the masculine and feminine energies in relationship, because they are a bit different and do play out. And so hopefully this information will help you navigate your relationship a bit smoother. Because the masculine is more factual. It's more, this is what was said, so this is what is true. This is what happened, this is what's true. Whereas for the feminine, it's how she feels is what her truth is. So then what happens in a relationship is you got the feminine who's identified with feelings, and that's her truth, which is constantly changing every moment because her feelings are constantly changing every moment. And then you got the masculine, which is, this is what happened, this is what's said, so this is actually the truth. So then you got the masculine hearing the feminine go and talk about some sort of event based, and she's talking about it based on her feelings, and the masculine's going, but you said this. This is what you actually said. And then the feminine's like, well, it doesn't matter because I feel like this right now, so that's what's true for me. So then there's a lot of arguments and a lot of fights because you got the masculine is identified with what actually happened, where the feminine is identified with the feelings. And so when people don't know that, it's just this fight because you're like, well, it doesn't matter. This is how I feel right now. Then the feminine's like, this is how I'm feeling. This is what's true. Whereas the masculine's looking at the feminine going, well, you're fucking crazy. You said this thing. But for her, that thing doesn't matter anymore because it's how she's feeling right now, which is the truth, which is always changing, which is a big head fuck for the masculine because the masculine's going, what the fuck is going on? She's literally changing her truth every freaking 10 seconds. So we have to acknowledge this information that the feminine is identified with feelings. It's energy and motion. That's the feminine. It's life itself. It's the world. It's energy. It's light. It's love. Love. It's light showing itself through love through the body. It's feminine energy. It's always changing. Whereas masculine is nothingness. It's the nothingness that everything emerges from. It's consciousness. And so the masculine doesn't feel like the feminine does. But the masculine can, because each person has masculine and feminine energies within. Most of the time, one person's going to be more identified with the feminine energy, one person's going to be more identified with the masculine energy. And it just so happens to be that the feminine mostly incarnates through a female body, and the masculine incarnates through the masculine body. But each body has both energies, just one plays more dominant than the other, but both can play each energy. So the masculine can be in his feminine energy, the feminine can be in her masculine energy. So in communication, for example, if the feminine is sharing her feelings, then the masculine would be in his masculine to hold space for the feminine. But then if the masculine wanted to share his feelings, then he would go into his feminine energy to share his feelings. So then the feminine would go into her masculine to hold space for the masculine's feminine. This is why it's important to share that, hey, I want to talk to you. So if you're a feminine identified female, for example, or person, or it's not, can be heterosexual relationships, gay relationships, whatever relationship, whatever you identify as, it's in every person. But communicating that, hey, I want to share something, it allows the other person to drop into their masculine to hold space for the person that is sharing. So then if you're a female and your masculine male partner wants to share his feelings, and you need to drop into your masculine to hold space for him. But if you just stay in your feminine and he stays in your feminine, then you got two feminine energies sharing their feelings, then can turn into a fight pretty quickly, and it's not really gonna go anywhere where you'd like it to go, because you're both just sharing. I mean, you can both be in your feminine energy and share and share and share. Really depends on what kind of relationship what kind of outcome you're wanting to have in that moment. If you're both just wanting to share how you feel, then it's beautiful. It's not going to create deep, passionate intimacy where you want to ravish each other, though. So it depends too, if you go deeper into that, you want to be in creating deeper, passionate intimacy in your relationship. Then the masculine and feminine polarity needs to come into play. But I'm not going to talk about it today. So, um, like masculine sharing would be, hey, what color do you want to paint the house? It'd be more like a business meeting. That's masculine energy and masculine energy sharing. Whereas feminine energy is drama and expressing feelings and that kind of thing. But if you want to do the polarity where one's the masculine, one's the feminine, then one holds space while the other shares. When communicating. Oh, anyways, guys, I was nearly going to go on a freaking big tangent there. So yeah, that's like extra information to give you guys if you're in a relationship that, yeah, the feminine is identified with feelings and the masculine isn't. So also don't expect your masculine partner to to give you emotion, because it's not his nature. Yeah, there'll be males that are more in tune with their feminine energy and can more easily go into their feminine energy to share, but a lot of them aren't. But a lot of females expect, like, why isn't he giving me anything? Why isn't he giving me emotion? Don't have that expectation of it. It's not fair. It's not the way he is. A deep, like, the masculine it's emptiness, it's nothingness. That's the masculine energy. The feminine is everything. It's the feeling. So a masculine person in a relationship, if the feminine's being her true feminine core, then she's his content. In the sense of, if you go, hey, what do you feel about this? You're like, oh, good. How do you feel about this? You're his content. So show that through your body. Part of the gift of the feminine is the radiance and the love she shows through her body. Allows, when the feminine's upset, it's because love's not flowing freely through her body. You have to become responsive to his consciousness. So when he's unconscious, you express that through your body. Ouch. When he is conscious, you praise him. But to have the expectation of, like, why don't you, well, you just feel like he doesn't have any feelings. That's not his nature. He can develop his feminine, but you are more of his content. So, hey, your feeling is, they're like, oh, do you feel good? Okay, then I feel good. The masculine is at home in nothingness. The feminine is at home in love and in the feelings. And so we have to identify that too, guys. We have to acknowledge that. So, yes, I'm not gonna go too deep into it all, but I just want to give you some little things to help create some better communication in your relationship. But yeah, it's, you guys are a team. You'll work it out. Be willing to work it out. Be willing to put the work in. Be willing to have the difficult conversations. Be willing to put your walls and barriers down and be vulnerable and express what's coming up and create the space to express rather than just dumping everywhere. Um, and then if you guys do fight, if you do have an argument, if something does rupture in the relationship, fix it afterwards. Don't just brush it under the carpet. Fix it so that you can create a phenomenal relationship and you don't have these if you brush it under the carpet, that just becomes this wall and barrier, becomes this thing that is energetically there that will leech energy from the relationship over time. Because there will be times where you guys clash and there's conflict and you guys fight. That's totally fine. It's what you do afterwards, how you fix it afterwards is what matters. Can't expect to not have fights in a relationship. Just make sure you fix it afterwards. And be the invitation, and be, if your partner doesn't communicate that well, be the possibility. Learn new things, like listen to this podcast, reading books and shit, and say, hey, can we try this different way of communicating? Try different things, because for some people, communicating is hard. They've never done it before. They've never been in a relationship where communication was there, so they don't know how to do it. But then you're expecting to be able to do it, but they've never learned how to do it. There's also a learning process. Please have grace and patience and work as a team, because it's probably going to get uncomfortable. Probably will be uncomfortable to learn to communicate when you don't do it before, or they haven't done it before, and it's vulnerable. And if you haven't willing to be vulnerable that much, then it's obviously going to be uncomfortable to be vulnerable. So you just have to work through it together, as a team. Like I'm saying, it's not you versus them, it's you guys versus the problem. So yeah, I hope some of that helps create more ease for you guys. Don't need to be right. Give that up, and just share from an open heart. Different. When you're sharing from the mind and the mind's hurt and the mind's right, blah, 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 different way of communicating than if you share from your heart. So, you can just breathe, relax, drop into yourself, and then from an open heart, share. The female too, like from her cervix, she can share from her cervix. Share from the heart. Tap into yourself and allow that vulnerability and that wisdom to come through, rather than from the head, communicating from the head. Yeah. And so I think it's story time. I think it's story. I should get a jingle for story time, maybe too. Jingle for the start and jingle for story time. Gather round, kids. Gather round, kids. Story time with Uncle Sam. That sounds weird. Anyways, yes. All right. Okay. I'm gonna tell you my story, guys. It is the most tragic McDonald's story, if not one of the most tragic stories you'll ever hear in your life. And so I'm going to take you guys on a trip down memory lane. We're going back probably 11 years ago, 12 years ago almost. And it's late at night. And I got the munchies. And I was like, I want a large chocolate sundae from McDonald's. That's what I want right now. That's what I need. I need a chocolate sundae right now. Wasn't I needed it, you know? So like, cool. I lived at the time in this house. I lived right next to McDonald's, freaking just on the corner was a McDonald's. So you know, jump in the car, head to the McDonald's. Happy. So I get to the first McDonald's, and there's ice cream machines not going, switched off or getting fixed, whatever their bloody excuses at that time of the night. I was like, okay, that's fine. You know what? It's not a problem at the moment. I'm okay with that. I'll drive to another McDonald's. There's plenty of them around. I'm keen on this sundae. I'm keen on this chocolate sundae. So I'm gonna go. I'm on a mission, guys. I'm on a quest to get this chocolate sundae. So off I go. I drive like I think another. Oh, how long did I drive? Another 10 to 15 minutes to another McDonald's. Get to the next one. Ice cream machine's not working again. I was like, fucking hell. All right. That's okay. It's all right. I've come this far. I'm in it now. I'm in it. You know what? That's all right. I'll go to another one. It's totally fine. So I drive another, I think another 10 minutes to another 10 to 15 minutes to another McDonald's. And it's freaking, this one's busy too. So I'm in the queue. Finally get to the drive-through booth. Hey, can I get a large chocolate sundae, please? Extra chocolate. You know. Sorry, the ice cream machine's not working. Oh, fucking, are you serious? So I was like, all right, I'll get a large fries because I'm out here. I've come this far. I'm on a bloody trek. I need some sustenance because I'm deep in it. So I can get a large fries. Yeah, all good. Get parked on the large fries too. I had to wait for the large fries. I had to wait in the queue for so long to get parked for a large fries and also be told the ice cream machine's not working. So I was like, all right, whatever. I'm sitting in the car park waiting for my person to come bring me my fries. Get the fries, eat the fries. I'm like, all right. The show goes on, baby. I'm this deep in it. I'm getting this chocolate sundae. I don't care what it fucking takes. I'm getting this chocolate sundae. So I drive another 10, 15 minutes to another McDonald's. And the ice cream machines are working. And you would think by now that you would turn around and go, alright, it's time to give up. But not me. No, I was dedicated to this mission, to this quest. It was like I'd been sent by God and I had to complete this mission. And so I was like, I'm trying one more. One more. Surely one more? Come on, what are the fucking odds every fucking McDonald's is a shut ice cream bloody machine at this time? So I go to one more. Still hopeful, guys. I'm still hopeful. I'm still holding on to. I'm like, come on, ice cream gods, please. Ronald McDonald, don't make me call you up, because I will. And so, get to this McDonald's. Hey, can I get a large chocolate sundae, extra chocolate? You sure fucking can. Boom. Best news ever. I was so happy. I was like, like, what a story to tell the kids one day. I finally getting my chocolate sundae. So drive through, pay. Yep, no freaking worries. You have no idea the journey I've been on tonight. But I'm not going to tell you because I just want to eat this chocolate sundae. Pay the person, drive to the next window, look over, see the girl making the chocolate sundae, and she's pumping chocolate in there. And I'm like, oh my, I'm just drooling right now looking at her make the chocolate sundae because she's putting so much chocolate into it. I'm like, oh my fucking God. And after being out for probably a good hour and a half by now, I'm just frothing at the window, like, yes, come on, give me this freaking chocolate sundae. Oh my god. So she's making, like, honestly, making me the best chocolate sundae I've ever seen in my life. She's walking towards me. I'm like, oh, it's coming. She's walking towards me. I'm like, oh my god. I'm about to get it. I'm about to get it. Ah! She's walking, walking, walking. As she's about to come to the window, she's like, mid walk, sort of stops to lean back around the wall to grab a spoon because she's obviously forgotten the spoon. And as she's gone to do that, she's slipped right over. And the sundae's just flown out of her hand. As if in slow motion, I'm watching this thing happen. She's walked up, realised she's forgotten the spoon, done a cheeky grab around the corner while still in motion towards me, and her body's just slipped. Ice cream in the air. It's in slow motion. I'm like, no. Ice cream gone. I didn't even care that she'd fallen over and probably hurt herself. I was like, fuck that. I was just watching my ice cream go in the air and disappear right in front of my eyes. After all that hard work, all that mission, all that long journey it took me to get there, to be right in front of my eyes, seconds away from being in my hand, the best chocolate sundae ever. Gone. Defeated. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? The other guy working sees her fall over and he's like, shit. He runs to the ice cream machine because he notices that I'm waiting there. Does the fucking worst chocolate sundae ever. Like shit all chocolate. Just crap. Runs over, gives it to me. I didn't even want to eat it. This is a fucking joke. I clearly wasn't supposed to have a chocolate sundae that night. So, tragedy at McDonald's. You know, I should have called Ronald McDonald up after that because I was upset. So yeah, that's my tragic McDonald's story, guys. I hope you liked story time, and you enjoyed the communication part of the relationship too. If you do want to work into communication, book in a session with me, guys, one-on-one. I do offer those one-on-one relationship guidance sessions or mindset guidance. Come get a session. But yeah, my socials are Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. It's all at EarthSamLove. EarthSamLove is one word. You can find me on all the socials there. Please follow me. Keep up to date with my content. I'm going to be doing some classes soon online as well, so stay tuned for those. I'm going to do a negative thinking, like overcoming negative thoughts, like tools to overcome negative thoughts, workshop sort of thing. And then a workshop on sort of like the theme will be creating a relationship that truly works for you. So stay tuned for those. Thanks for listening. I do appreciate it. I'm super grateful for all of you listening to my podcast. It makes me so happy. So please leave a review, and a rating and a comment. And yeah, I'll speak to you guys in the next episode. Bye.